right, so you are the last interview that we're doing at Drive. What did you think of the event?
It was pretty baller. It was pretty good. I was just talking to someone else about this at lunch, where it's very intimate, which you wouldn't expect from being like, oh yeah, it's 200 people, but it's even more intimate. Like 200 is still a lot of people. It's really nice. It's a great opportunity to meet new people. People like constantly, people like, oh, like I think I know you from LinkedIn. People don't know.
Oh, you're the girl with the upside down head on LinkedIn, right?
Yeah, even Dave. I'm like, are you gonna recognize me when
Yeah.
I'm not upside down? I thought it would be funny to do like a handstand at some point, but I'm not that skilled.
What was your favorite presentation? Because I've been holed up in here for 2 days, so I didn't really get to see anything.
I thought about that. I feel bad for you.
Outside of the presentation that I kicked the coffee over.
Oh yeah,
that was
everyone's
good.
talking about that right after you left.
Yeah,
actually.
great.
Yeah.
Love it.
But now you're memorable. You
Yeah.
made a memorable moment, and you weren't even in the room. Favorite session, Ross Simmons. I mean, every session was great, but Ross is just like, he's awesome. I mean, I'm a content person. He's a content person. I also look up to him as like a speaker. High energy, great content.
I wouldn't say high energy. I would say the highest energy.
The highest energy.
Like,
the highest
truly.
energy. He's just phenomenal. He was also my breakout group. My breakout group
That's
was
amazing.
A bunch of content people. It was actually epic. Jess Cook, Devin Reed, Ross Simmons.
Some heavy hitters.
Stuart Hillhall, like a whole bunch of people. I was like, okay, this is a lot. It was awesome.
So what did you talk about in there? Because now I'm really jealous. You got like some big content minds in there.
It was really good. So I brought that up as we were talking about Ross, because one of the questions I proposed to the group was, okay, like we're talking about employee advocacy. Devin Reed's talk today was about getting your CEOs on LinkedIn. Everyone's starting to do that more. This was like a playbook we ran at Chili Piper years ago. Now everyone's starting to know, like, okay, this is what we should do. What's next? Like, let's think beyond that and be like, okay, what's next? And then Ross, of course, is just like this. Like, he's got all these hacks. He's got all these Reddit hacks.
Sorry, I was laughing at you because she was distracting us.
She's the best. I love
She was
her.
standing like right over your head, like making your face.
She's the
So
best.
yes. Sorry, get it back on the rails, Mark.
Yeah, no. I actually don't want to tell any of his secrets because I want to use all of them.
Yes.
But yeah, he was just brilliant.
So you're at Close now. It's a CRM for what? It's like isn't it a CRM? It's like a inside sales or something CRM, or why am I making this up?
Yeah, so it's a CRM for small scaling businesses.
Okay.
So we are
Started
primarily.
with an S. That was close.
Yeah. That's why I was like, are we?
Yeah.
Month 4. So yes, we are primarily for small scaling businesses. When you think about CRMs, obviously it's a crowded market, big category. We serve our corner of the market really well, which is just really, really nice to be like, hey, like not everyone needs a Salesforce or a HubSpot. Everyone thinks that you go with the incumbent, or there's also 700 options. I understand the analysis paralysis of like, I'll just go with the ones that everyone uses,
Or the one that won't get you fired. Yeah.
Yeah. But like previous jobs, we were sales teams of like 1 to 10. We had no business using Salesforce. So we serve our corner of the market really well. Small scaling businesses, sales teams of like 50 or smaller, B2B SaaS, digital agencies, coaches, solopreneurs, that sort of thing.
So what do you do from a content perspective to get people bought in on using that type of CRM?
So it's interesting you ask that, because so I'm month 4.
You got it all figured out.
And yeah, I've got everything figured out, literally just, it's interesting because I'm rebuilding the content program from scratch. We're in a brand new marketing era. Everything they were doing before me was very SEO heavy, volume over value, that sort of thing. So everything that we're doing right now is kind of taking a very ICP-centric approach, obviously, as everyone should, but not everyone does.
Yeah.
So really just focusing more on like what our customers are saying that they want, where do they need help, ensuring that we are creating that content across all different content types. Studies have shown us, right, that they want, like people want content not only in a helpful, tactical, practical way, but they want various content types as well. They want to read it, they want to listen to it, they want to watch a video, all that jazz.
So how are you prioritizing that? Because that sounds like a lot of content types.
Yeah, I'm like tired of thinking about it. Well, I have a team. I have a really awesome team. I have 2 content marketers, a designer, a video contract agency.
That's an awesome setup.
It is a pretty good setup. And I'm hiring for a social manager.
Nice.
And I'll be hiring more next year, most likely. It's kind of hard because I like to make the analogy of like a house. It's easier to build a brand new house than it is to renovate a house.
You're talking to the least handy person of all time, so yes.
Well, same, like
Yes.
not literally.
I'm with you, yes.
Not literally though. It's like, so Chili Piper, I was the first content hire. Lavender, we were early stage, 4-person marketing team. First time they ever had a marketing team, like super early stage company. Close is a very mature, stable, profitable, bootstrap company that's been around for 13 years. There's been multiple heads of content. So this is the first time I've entered with like a lot of baggage. So now I'm tearing the house down, I'm tearing the walls down, keeping the frame, I have to keep the structure. And then we're all kind of creating a new blueprint together and figuring out, okay, what do we keep? What do we get rid of? If we're keeping something, how do we recycle it? How do we repurpose it? That's a lot harder to do.
Yeah,
so we're taking
believe
a
it.
crawl, walk, run approach to
Love that.
everything in marketing. So that's kind of like the first step in how I'm prioritizing things.
So what's been the biggest learning from taking that approach? Because I have never had to do that before, so now I'm genuinely curious.
The biggest learning, patience, which is really hard.
I struggle with
which
that.
is really hard. Patience. I kind of hate when people say like, "Oh, give yourself grace." I'm like, yes, but honestly, like those two things kind of go hand in hand for me. Where it's like it's a lot of like stepping back and then diving in. I have led teams since college. Lavender was my first role where I wasn't leading a team, just executing. Now I'm back in that like middle management. I have a marketing leader for the first time in 3 jobs. And I mentioned all of that to say that a lot of the learnings has to do like you're executing, you're leading, you're building a strategy, you're taking care of your people, you're reporting up, you're reporting down, you're reporting across, if that's a thing.
A lot of reporting.
There's a lot to it. So a lot of it is just like reminding yourself that you have a really big job. And luckily, I have an amazing boss who even says that, where she's like, "You have a really tough job." I'm like, "Thank you for validating me." It's a lot of just like patience and knowing that like we're like let us cook kind of thing. Like you need patience. It's going to take time to not just see results or output, but it's going to take time if you do it the right way. And you need to give yourself that grace while also balancing a bias to action. Where Amrita actually was just talking about having a velocity.
She is
for
such
learning.
a boss. I talked to her for the
a
first
boss.
time. Oh
She's
my
amazing.
God, she's amazing.
She's amazing. Like I only got 10 minutes of this panel.
I'm sorry.
And I got 10 minutes of this panel. And the one thing she said was have a velocity for learning. And when she said that, I was like, oh yeah, like that's where I am right now.
So what does the velocity of learning mean then? Or did you not get
That's all I got.
pulled out from somebody who was
make it
interviewing you?
up.
Yeah. Okay. All right. I'm sorry.
Yeah,
We'll
my
have to
own
ask her.
connotation
Yes.
of that is like, just to not be focused too much on, okay, I need to drive like X amount of pipeline, or obviously you need to remember those things. To me, that meant to be thinking about the rate of which your speed to execution is and how much you're learning. Where if I look back on my first 4 months at close, I'm like, holy shit! Like I've learned a ton. Every time I talk to my CEO, I learn something. I have like I reorganized my Notion doc when I started at close, where I have like one-on-ones in like one folder, and then I have docs and meetings. That's in my head is all organized.
Are you using Notion for the first time?
I've used it for notes for multiple roles.
Okay.
This is the first time I'm like, okay, I have a clean slate. I'm going to organize this the right way.
That's where I'm at with Notion.
Yeah.
Yes.
I bring it up to say that like I have a whole doc of like, I did like 30, 60, 90 learnings, and then like fresh eyes learnings of like in those first 30 days is when you're like, you have the most propensity for like fresh ideas and creativity and like analyzing product.
Yep.
You can never see it that way again.
No.
So I have a doc for that. And then I have a doc of learnings where sometimes it's just a word or a phrase. I write the date and then I just jot down whatever it is.
I might have to steal some of that from you. I'm very jealous. Content measurement. That's something that I'm thinking of. I struggle with at times. How are you measuring content at close?
Still figuring it out. And I will add some context to say that we are probably a pretty unique sales process set up internally. We're PLG largely. We have a very small sales motion. We're kind of evolving that right now. 3-person sales team. Sales actually sits with success. They're a big implementation team while like we don't have anyone doing outbound right now.
Yep.
So everything's kind of funky. We also don't track opportunities. I don't know if I should be saying this. We don't track opportunities quite yet.
Yeah, we'll cut
like,
that out.
I don't know. Like pipeline is a little hard to measure for us right now because we're just going through some org changes. So yeah, so how are we measuring? A lot of it is just having to do with like, okay, let's look at like the full breadth of metrics of like, especially with LinkedIn, we don't have anyone doing social. Obviously, I've seen a lot of success scaling, pipeline revenue specifically with organic content and social. So I stopped doing whatever they were doing on social before me, and then I've just been doing LinkedIn. So as like one tiny piece of like an answer to your question is, I have seen
this is all a great answer, by the way. So.
Yeah, going up and everything is going up and to the right as we see like engagements and impressions on LinkedIn. And with me, like we've seen an increase in trials, for example, since we've been like increasing LinkedIn presence and like posting and just doing like a little bit at a time. Like we're starting to see like what looks like correlation. I think someone yesterday said how brand is like a coefficient rather than correlation. I'm like, oh, that's a really smart way to think about it.
Yeah.
Because brand and content are like so intermingled. So that's one aspect. We're actually redoing our entire content dashboard right now. So that's why I'm like, oh, I want to talk about LinkedIn.
Yeah. I love it. So speaking of content, we just came out with this research report this week.
Yeah,
and
congrats.
Yeah, I'm so happy that it's out there. There's a lot more work to do to distribute it and repurpose it. But would love to get your take on some of the stuff that we found in there. So I know you didn't read it yet. You can start thumbing through this as I thumb through it. The only request that I have is you don't do what your friend did right before this, which is quiz me on the actual research and no, you can quiz me.
Well, I am curious, so I look at this.
Who gave
and I'm
which
like,
quote?
Oh, who
so
said this?
Basically what we did was we'd surveyed 619 B2B buyers, sellers, and marketers, about 200-ish of each group. And we asked them very similar questions about what customer evidence means to them, what they think buyers want, what marketing teams actually create, and what sales teams think that they need. And the end goal was just trying to show that buyers, sellers, and marketers are not on the same page. And spoiler alert, they're not.
They're not. Yeah, it's a dumpster fire,
Yes.
right?
So I think my, I'd say favorite stat was, I think it was 74% of the customer evidence that buyers see they don't trust. Why do you think that's the case?
Say that stat again.
74% of buyers don't believe the customer evidence that they see.
Damn, that sucks, doesn't it? Because it's so hard to get.
Clipping that.
Yeah, it's so hard. It's so hard to get. It's not easy. So like we're in a position right now. We're a very interesting use case for this because we have small scaling businesses. So we don't have big logos. We need the actual stories, and we need like the testimonials and the quotes. Like we need as much of that as possible because like nobody knows the logos, and that's kind of the point. It's almost like to our benefit, we're able to say we're not for those big logos. Like
I'm going to show you something really funny that will help you hopefully feel a little bit more at ease. So you mentioned logos a couple times and not having big logos. One of these charts in here is
oh, logos, the lowest. I'm going to screenshot that for my boss. Yeah.
So don't worry about that. I don't know your boss's name, but
yeah, no, it's nice to have that data, right, to prove that point because you're like, oh, you need logos, you need logos, you need logos. I'm like, well, actually, people care about hearing from people who are like them. So to your point, that's not a surprising stat. It's a sad stat, but it's not a surprising stat because I know that people don't trust B2B content. I think it was Organic Growth Marketing did a study, and all of the studies of the buyers showed that the majority of people don't trust our websites or our content, and they go to like their friends and their third party and their peers. So it almost sounds like the way we have been used to presenting social proof and customer stories is not in an authentic way, where it seems like they're hearing from peers. Where like we're trying to rethink our customer stories right now to be like an interactive page or just like rethink how the videos show up. So it's storytelling and it makes you feel like you're watching a video from a friend on LinkedIn. Or maybe it sounds like a text that a friend sends you. It should just feel real and authentic and organic rather than here's the problem, here's the solution, here are the stats.
So I'm laughing because I'm not exaggerating, you might be the fourth person who's used that same boring case study framework that we all have been trained to use for years and years and years. I hate it.
I hate it.
Why do you hate it so much?
It's storytelling is, let me take a step back. You think about what we consume as humans. So like take us away from being marketers and working in business. Like, you watch movies, you read books. It's like Disney exists for a reason. Those are all stories that make you feel something and make you like think about things and like make you like bring up memories that you've had. Like, that's storytelling. And we lose all of that when you're operating within a framework. Stories don't work within a framework. I mean, there actually are like technically like frameworks for telling stories.
I know what you mean.
Technically, but it's like a very rigid,
Yes.
non-flexible template.
Yep.
It's hard to tell an authentic human story within those parameters.
So someone that I know and you know and we both love, we had a conversation with her the other day, Jen Allen Knuth, and we were talking about the case study format and that, you know, challenge, solution, benefits, results, whatever. The big learning that we had was, what is the part that is usually written in as few words as possible and just glanced over? That's the most important part, the challenge. All it talks about is your solution and how it's better and all this stuff. It does not paint the picture and tell the story of like what the actual challenge was and the hell that people were living through. And I'd never really thought about it like that until Jen told me. It kind of blew my mind.
Oh yeah. I mean, she could read the dictionary and it blew my mind.
What's your funniest Jen story? I'm going to go on script here.
Funniest Jen story.
Because you guys work together at Lavender.
Yeah. The first time we all met as a marketing team at Lavender was SaaStr Europa in London last year. We were all taking a picture, and if you know, Jen's tall, Will Aiken is tall, me and Todd are short.
I didn't know that until I met her for the first time.
Oh yeah, she's tall. Yeah, she's got tall energy, and yeah, for a
She's
reason.
the best. Yes.
And we were just taking this picture, and Will picks up Todd, and I've had a kid. I'm not like super like I'm petite, but I'm not like that petite anymore. And she's like trying to lift me up, and like half my legs on the ground and the other half's not. It just made for hilarious photos. I mean, that's like the most appropriate story I can tell.
Yes, that's totally fine.
It was funny.
I might have to get that picture from you so we can
hilarious.
overlay it on this.
It's on LinkedIn for sure.
Awesome. Well, thank you for making time for me. This was fun.
This is awesome. Thanks, Mark.